like show business, like no business I know. Everything about it is appealing. Everything that traffic will allow.
Hello, it's Peter Bradshaw here again from The Guardian with another winsome little vlog, and I want to start right away with my regular feature, Serendipity Corner. This Saturday, 20th of March, BBC Two will be showing the new documentary from the British filmmaker Nick Broomfield. It's called My Father and Me. It's about Broomfield's father, the late Maurice Broomfield, a photographer who took pictures of British factories and British industry in the post-war period with a futurist panache that led his style to be labelled industrial sublime.
That's me with him. Maurice was an incurable romantic, a working man himself with his first job at 15 in Rolls-Royce making copper piping. As with most kids and their parents, I went through lots of ups and downs with Maurice. Sometimes it could be difficult. Things got much better once I had my son Barney, and we had a family tradition of doing our portraits on the same bench each year. As a young man, I never really appreciated his photography. I thought he glamorized industry in a romantic and unrealistic way. When I became a filmmaker, we often disagreed about my work. We had very different styles. Maurice's work was beautifully crafted. Mine was chaotic and much more confrontational. It took a long time for us to learn to accept each other's differences and actually appreciate each other's work. But by the time Maurice died, aged 94, I realized just how deeply he had influenced me with his work and outlook on life.
It's a wonderful film, but where, you ask, does the serendipity come in? Well, my dad, Albert Desmond Bradshaw, was himself a photographer, and in the 1950s he worked for Maurice Broomfield in his studio in Highgate, North London, later branching out on his own, taking pictures in the industrial photography style and also streetscapes. I wrote about my dad 2 years ago. So watching this film was an almost out-of-body experience for me, because the name Maurice Broomfield was spoken with enormous respect in our household, and because Maurice's arguments with Nick growing up were so similar to the arguments I had with my dad. I love the moments in this film where Nick talks about Maurice's darkroom. The darkroom that Dad had in our house was a forbidden place for me and my sister, and so a fascinating zone of alchemical magic. My dad loved the Ealing movie Kind Hearts and Coronets, especially for the black comedy of its darkroom scene. His love of that film introduced me to cinema in the first place. Nick Broomfield's My Father and Me is happening on BBC Two on the 20th of March and streaming on BBC iPlayer. Our next film is one which is utterly indifferent to criticism. Criticism is not kryptonite to this film. This film is kryptonite to criticism. It is the new 4-hour superhero epic from DC, Justice League, directed by Zack Snyder.
Almost like a premonition. I think there's an attack coming.
My lord, this world will fall.
I need warriors. I'm building an alliance to defend ourselves.
How do you know your team's strong enough? If you can't bring down the charging bull, then don't wave the red cape at it.
This, of course, is the film which has come about as a result of the social media fan campaign Release the Snyder Cut. Enraged by the underpar 2017 film Justice League, which director Zack Snyder had to abandon work on due to a family tragedy, and which was completed by an uncredited Joss Whedon in a brighter, blander and shorter form than Snyder envisaged, the fans demanded the original, and now that's what they have. After Superman's death, Bruce Wayne assembles a crack squad of superheroes, the Justice League, to defend planet Earth against an evil invader, Steppenwolf. There'll be no spoilers from me, although the biggest spoiler is in the trailer and I haven't included it here. Now, I like superhero films. I deprecate the snobbery of some critics towards them. They are to us what westerns were in the 30s and 40s. And I very much enjoyed Justice League. You can't watch it in streaming episodes. You have to watch it all at once to savour its weird mythological grandeur and its sheer dramatic and theological craziness. This film may not be your cup of tea, fine, but as ever I ask people, critics and non-critics alike, to do what I call the superhero thought experiment. What if you had never seen a superhero film before, had never heard of superheroes? What if that pop culture fixture had passed you by? I suspect you might be intrigued by the surreal strangeness of everything that's going on. It's Tolkienian, Wagnerian storytelling in a Dayglow style. It's mad energy. Lastly, we have something which now reaches UK streaming services 4 years after it was made. It's The Senator, directed by John Curran, about Ted Kennedy and the scandal of Chappaquiddick.
We have a situation here on Chappaquiddick.
There's been an accident. We can't find Mary Jo. What the hell happened last night?
I was driving.
Do you have any idea? Court of public opinion will have your head on a stake.
We tell the truth, or at least our version of it.
I want you to know that every effort possible was made to save her.
What do we do to help the senator?
A dead body holds a lot of secrets. Those can be the difference between guilt and innocence.
Are you saying that there's a possibility that maybe she didn't drown?
I could have had her out of that car in 25 minutes if I got the call. But no one called.
In 1969, Senator Ted Kennedy, a married man, was driving back from a party on Chappaquiddick Island in Massachusetts when his car went off a narrow bridge into the water. Kennedy swam clear, leaving his passenger to drown, Mary Jo Kopechne, a woman who had been a researcher for his late brother Bobby. Having failed to report the incident for 8 hours and toyed with the idea of claiming Mary Jo was driving, Kennedy finally pleaded guilty to leaving the scene of an accident, took a lenient 2-year suspended sentence and gave a televised address saying he hadn't been drunk and there'd been no impropriety with Miss Kopechne. And this film, however interesting it is on the cover-up and Kennedy's entitlement and self-pity, basically accepts Kennedy's version of events. It shows Kennedy not drinking much or at all at this party, not having designs on Mary Jo Kopechne, and it even implies that it was her panicky gesticulation that obscured his view of the road. Basically, this prim and prissy film ignores what is under its nose, the overwhelming likelihood that Kennedy was just very drunk and very eager to have extramarital sex. He's no kind of biopic hero or even anti-hero. That's it. I need you to subscribe to this channel, leave a comment to say you've subscribed, and say who your all-time film supervillain is. Farewell.